Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today, before I actually start, I do apologize if my voice sounds a little groggy. That's actually because I'm sick right now at the moment, so I may cough during the video, and I can really only speak like somewhat monotone. I can go a little higher and lower, but if I go any higher than this, then my voice is gonna sound scratchy, and it's just not gonna sound very good. So basically, we're going to be doing a figure comparison. Today's figure comparison is between another high-end Playmates. This time, it's going to be the radio tower from Godzilla vs. Kong and the HIYA not V2, but the HIYA Heat Ray version of Godzilla vs. Kong's Godzilla. So, usually I do in like categories, point by point based. We're keeping the categories, but I think in order to ensure a fair video, there's not going to be a fight. It's just primarily going to be showcasing the differences between this Godzilla and this Godzilla as far as like what a kid's toy has compared to a adult collectible. So let's go ahead and analyze them. When we take a look at the heads of both figures, again, it's more or less the same thing with the Heat Ray Godzilla from Playmates. It's the exact same mold, very soft kind of plastic use. The head is a more rubberier plastic in comparison to the body, which is actually much more harder plastic, but also features the same sort of detailing as far as the paint applications go. Only difference is that it's orange instead of blue. The teeth is the exact same, the tongue is the exact same. Yes, there is a sculpted in tongue, and it's also casted in a much lighter gray, blueberry-ish plastic that's very reminiscent of the giant Godzilla that they released a few years back. The HIYA is made of I would say, more similarly colored to this compared to this Heat Ray counterpart, but has a darker gray, not by much, but has a lot more intricate detailing, and has kind of like a blue spray with the eyes and the tongue, and especially has like very thick paint on the neck, and as well as the dorsal plates. When we take a look at the hands and arms of both figures, again, the limbs are made of more rubbery plastic on the Playmates in comparison to the body itself, with the arms, again, sharing the exact same mold as the Heat Ray counterpart, and featuring little tiny itty pieces of paint. The HIYA features much more detailing on the this side of or well, basically its whole arm, and actually has a bit of dry brushing, and not as far as the way paint goes, but there is some very good shading there. The bodies of both figures is quite a very drastic change. The Playmates features, again, much more mellower detail, and features harder plastic as opposed to the more rubberier plastic, but also, it's very hard to tell, but it does feature some mild dry brushing, while the HIYA features higher quality plastic and obviously has a lot more paint and dry brushing and details marked into the sculpt, which I think if the Playmates had it would have brought out the details a lot more. Coming down to the legs here, obviously there's a big quality difference. The Playmates features, again, standard kind of coloring with the plastic, not much detail. I mean, you can still make out detail, it's just a bit more glossier. And the claws on the toes are painted, or the claws, which are the toes, I guess, are painted a light brown. While the HIYA features a lot more dry brushing, a lot more details, and doesn't have as much defined paint on the claws, but are still definitely noticeable. Next up, let's look at the dorsal plates. And the dorsal plates, again, are vastly different. The Playmates features mild sprays, more towards the center of it, throughout the entirety of the spines. And it's not translucent this time around, but still definitely blue in appearance. The HIYA features a lot more blues to simulate more of a glowing effect at the base, with not so much glowing at the tips of the spines. Also, they're much more detailed, while these are much more softer and rubbery. And when we go to look at the tails, the tail on the radio tower figure doesn't actually have the blue spray that a lot of others do. I don't know why that is on my specific copy, but it is what it is. But it does have a lot of nice detailing. But the tail is curved a little bit to the left and up. giving it a more unique pose. While the HIYA is very much standardly posed, having the posability, but features dry brushing on the sides and the bottom, as well as dry brushing and paint on the top with blue to give it a glowing effect. So, that's the rundown of both this and this. As far as the sculpt and paint goes, I feel like HIYA definitely has brought a lot more to the table than I initially expected, because I've been hearing such great things about this figure. Never really bothered to pick it up because I already had the NECAs, shaky camera, and the monster arts. So when I actually got this as a Christmas gift, I actually opened it and I was very, very impressed. I fell in love with this thing. And honestly, the only thing I would change, really, is the paint on the chest and where it transitions to the arms and the paint on the neck. The reason why the paint on the neck is because it looks too much like nail polish. And as a person who has used nail polish to paint his custom figures, I would know that. It just looks too thick, too glossy, and looks really tacky in my opinion. That's the only paint flaw I have with that thing. Kind of more or less the paint flaw ish is the transition from the chest to the arms, which I think the translucent version fixes by just not having any paint on the front of the chest. Is that the transition from no paint on the shoulders to full on paint on the chest makes it look like he's wearing some sort of vest. Makes him look like some sort of cop. You know, with those bulletproof vests being often blue or something. I don't know. But maybe put some paint on the gills, and I think that would have been better. But overall, I would say that the paint on this thing is absolutely amazing. And a personal ranking from me, I'm not going to compare the rankings, but I'm just going to give them their own rankings. It's basically like a 2-in-1 review, but I'm comparing what they have. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. Just docking that 1 point for the transition and the thicker paint on the neck. The Playmates, kind of hard for me to judge given the more lower quality end of figures here. It tries what it has with. The application, I'll give it this, is a lot better than that of my HIYA Godzilla. Because going to my HIYA Godzilla, which I just have a bit out of reach, the eye here is a bit on the more higher side, and the teeth are not aligned correctly. Here you can actually see the teeth are much more visible on this side than they are this side. Here it just looks like he has no gums, or well, no teeth. While it is perfect here, on the bottom jaw at least, somewhat up the top. Also, the fact that this actually has some visible dry brushing, this does not. I know it has it, but it's so minuscule. I honestly feel like they could have just painted it darker. And the fact that, combined with the fact that I have no spray on the tail and no visible dry brushing. Again, I know the dry brushing is there, but it's not visible at all. I really feel like I got the short end of the stick when it comes to the batches being released of the radio Godzillas, and it honestly just kind of makes it questionable. Like, even at that price point, they have done better than this. They will do better than this, because again, the HIYA Godzilla is just the better painted figure because of its visible dry brushing and its spray. Again, this has it at major release, but the fact that I didn't get it at mine really makes it questionable as to, are all units like that? They're so inconsistent with each other. And again, I know these are mass produced, simple to put together figures, very cheap, $10, can't go wrong. I know I just spoiled the price, but again, it's kind of makes you wonder, is it even worth buying if it can't even reach its full potential? So for paint, I'm going to have to dock her down to 6.5 out of 10. I know, I'm being a bit harsh, but the fact that I got the shorter end of the stick plus the application itself, I feel it could be a little bit better. Especially because over time, if you want to put the HIYA Godzilla into this guy's mouth, it's going to start wearing down over time. And the fact that this is made for toys, the paint is not going to last. You give this to like a 3-year-old kid, chucks it over across the room, it's probably going to at least bend, damage these spines. Yeah, they're made of very rubbery material, but especially here, it's made of so very thin plastic. It's not going to last at all. So really, it's all up to you. So 9 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 for Sculpt and Paint.